Having body image concerns is a relatively common experience and is not a mental health issue or problem in and of itself. However, it can be a risk factor for many mental health problems. If you've suffered from anxiety, depression, shame, or self-consciousness due to your weight or appearance, or feeling like somehow you just don't belong, pay attention. This video is absolutely for you. I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to help cope with that and maybe help you understand that you are not alone. Join me now. Watch. So my condition, and this is kind of like the intro of the difference of when a mental, like when something, a lot of people have this as an issue versus, okay, this is a real problem because it's such a mental health condition that's affecting other things that are stopping somebody from life. So that happens to be my condition that I had to understand, but I've had so many different layers. That's why my condition is complex PTSD, extreme trauma recovery. So relation to anxiety, depression, weird habits, etc., weird beliefs. And that's kind of the representation within the brain of habits and things to understand. So it's a challenge to anyone, even if they haven't had the complex issues of the types of traumas, but of the relation, really the core of calling your own BS out. And this is an example. So the different profile types of people. So again, my background, if you don't know, I was a professional paid spokesperson, fitness model. I, though, did not get on stage to compete. So I was in ads, magazines, television. Also being younger, so now that I'm 40 plus, my career mostly 20 years ago or whatever. The difference of being starting before in my 20s or early before 20s, in your 20s, like the difference of how your body responds to things, the genetic makeup, etc., and beliefs. So saying that, there's people, especially in the fitness industry, here's your diet, here's your plan, they follow that, they follow it for that 6 months, whatever it is, they get the results, they do the goal, then they fall apart. Or they do that and they've been on years and years in this extreme regimented kind of program and plan, and that's how they function. When I say restrictions, I have not been a person who have ever been able to follow a real program for longer than 2 days, as far as the eating goes. I haven't been able to diet. I used to feel, oh my God, I'm such a loser, Okay, the core psychology, what I'm calling myself out on, and the healing component of that, and recognizing where those things come from, where those beliefs come from. Because the restrictions, even though I wasn't dieting, when I say restrictions, come from now the belief around food and so many things. So there's the practical situation where I have a food, if I eat this, I have an allergy, I have an intolerance, I have a response. That's a real thing. However, it's brought on by different things in the brain and beliefs as well. So this whole completely demonizing food, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Understanding, though, that at different times, different beliefs can affect the body, and then the body also having real symptoms and real is a real thing. So some people have different dairy intolerances, gluten, etc. But is it that that's a real thing, or is that what you were made to believe? And that's an interesting thing to separate. So an example of that, so the weird things that I've been doing, so my weight and being all over the place and understanding. I've had this weird excessive craving. So they say, okay, if you're craving, constantly cashews or something like that, magnesium deficiency. All right, well, I don't take supplements on a consistent basis. I should, I don't. I'm busting myself up again. I used to own a supplement store and I never was consistent. Wow. So I'm working through a lot. The influence of that. Do I believe in the supplements? Yes. Do supplements work? Yes. Just like anything, though, if you're not consistent, you're going to have an issue. The cravings for these things. Weird beliefs. My binge eating, goes up. Why? Because I have the belief around, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to start a program. I need to follow that program, and I want to see what happens. I've never been able to follow a program. Just the thought that I might have a program coming up that I'll commit to, I go into binge eating mode. Because that's an all or nothing thinking. Gotta eat all the food, gotta eat all the stuff. I got the ice cream, got the stuff. I'm gonna pig out. In the last number of years, that's the cycle I went back to that I used to have as a kid or in the fitness stuff, no matter what my body was at. The difference, when I believed I was loved, people that grew up on survival, people that grew up on love, don't have the same core things. And then I had trauma, okay? And if you only believe your version or you're worthy based on your appearance. It's not what I value in others, but I'm happy to clean out. And that's what I've realized is my issue. And so many people have that without realizing it. I don't know what it's like to be happy. I know that. I've never been happy my entire life. So I have to work on that. I know how to make others happy. I know how to create a happy environment, and I'm not in it. It just looks like I am. All or nothing thinking. Sometimes maybe that's what it has to be to clean out different things to understand, but I'm saying in that period of whatever it was, 10 years, when I believed I was loved, which that is giving your power away. That's the whole lesson here, is that never should be the case. However, that's the reality of what so many people do when they're manipulated by love, or they don't have their base because they haven't been taught they're worthy of love. You believe that to be the case. I was the healthiest I ever was. I was distracted. None of the food were issues. My energy was good, etc., etc. But you don't really realize where that comes from. Take that away. Then what happens to that type of brain? So the survival brain and that reptilian brain versus the one that grew up in a different type of environment. Okay, well then you don't, like the type of person I am, I didn't repeat what was done to me. I'm human, I've made mistakes, but that's because I'm in such deep constant reflection. So do you have that all or nothing kind of mentality? Well, let's call in myself out on that. I'm recognizing it, but also I'm trying not to judge and shame, but you can't get old, like the consequence of whatever you've done. So consequence, well, if my eating habits have changed, well, look at, I've put on weight. Well, look at, I've done X, Y, Z. I've looked at, like, that's the reality I have to come to. But also the understanding of the process to understand myself more. What am I trying to understand myself more in? Who's really right for me so that I don't attract the wrong thing ever again? Because that's what scares me. So my ultimate fear is that heartbreak. But I had to realize in my life, that's the ultimate fear of why I've had so many walls up. But so many people have that, they just don't recognize where it comes from. And then that's the root of the self-worth for any next addiction. Workaholics, an addiction. Change the environment, think you couldn't go to that job. Whether you created that job or not. How fast you'd be mentally ill.